Fleet Commander Vexera of the Zarkathi Expeditionary Force stood motionless on the bridge of her flagship, her crystalline form refracting the dim starlight as she studied the blue-green planet before her. Earth, a primitive world by galactic standards, barely worth the effort of conquest. At least, that's what all their intelligence suggested. "Status report," she commanded, her voice resonating through the crystalline chamber. "Stealth systems functioning at optimal capacity, Commander," her second-in-command, Rixtel, reported. "The humans remain unaware of our presence. Their primitive detection systems are reading only normal background radiation." Vexera allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Zarkathi had conquered 17 worlds in the past cycle, and none had posed any significant challenge. Earth would be the 18th, a minor addition to their expanding empire. The humans' most advanced weapons were crude projectiles and chemical explosives. Their space presence was limited to a handful of primitive satellites and a single pathetic space station. "Begin primary scan sequence," she ordered. "I want detailed readings of their defensive capabilities." The scan beams, invisible to human detection systems, reached out toward Earth. For several moments, everything proceeded according to protocol. Then, without warning, every alarm on the bridge activated simultaneously. "Commander," Rixtel's crystalline form pulsed with alarm patterns. We're being scanned back." "Impossible," Vexera snapped. "Their technology is centuries behind." Her words were cut short as a new hologram materialized in the center of the bridge. A human figure, wearing what appeared to be a formal diplomatic uniform, stood before them. "Greetings, Fleet Commander Vexera," the human said, speaking perfect Zarkathi. "I am Director Sarah Chen of Earth's Defense Initiative. I must say, your stealth technology is impressive, though a bit outdated by our standards." Vexera's form flickered with shock. How are you broadcasting through our shields?" The human smiled. "The same way we detected you 3 days ago, when you first entered the solar system. We've had quite some time to study the quantum resonance patterns your civilization uses for communication." "Fascinating stuff. Really, your ancestors were quite brilliant to discover it." "Study." Vexera's confusion turned to dread as new sensor readings appeared on her displays. What she had thought were simple satellites began transforming, revealing sophisticated weapon systems that her sensors couldn't even classify. "You see," Director Chen continued, "humanity has a rather unique approach to technological development. We don't just advance in a linear fashion. We imagine, we theorize, we prepare for possibilities. When we detected your first scout probe 2 years ago, we didn't just study it. We reimagined it, improved it, combined it with technologies you never thought to put together." Around Earth, hundreds of previously invisible defense platforms shimmed into view. They weren't crude human technology, but they weren't purely Zarkathi either. They were something new, something hybrid. "This is a courtesy warning," Chen said, her tone remaining diplomatic but firm. "Your stealth systems are compromised. Your weapons, while impressive, are based on principles we've already analyzed and countered. If you proceed with your planned invasion, we will be forced to demonstrate just how creative humans can be when threatened." Vexera watched in horror as one of her scout ships, which had ventured slightly closer to Earth, suddenly found itself enveloped in a field of energy she'd never seen before. The ship didn't explode or break apart. It simply ceased to function, its crystal-based technology going completely dark. "That," Chen explained, "is what we call the quantum phase inverter. Turns out your crystalline technology has some fascinating vulnerabilities when exposed to certain resonance frequencies. We discovered that by accident, actually, while trying to improve our music synthesizers. Funny how innovation works, isn't it?" You're bluffing," Vexera managed to say, though her confidence was rapidly crumbling. "No species could advance this quickly." "Would you like another demonstration?" Chen asked. "Perhaps something involving the theoretical principles behind your FTL drives. We had some interesting ideas about those too. Vexera felt the weight of centuries of Zarkathi military doctrine crumbling around her. Everything they knew about technological progression, about the proper order of scientific discovery, was being challenged by these upstarts. "Why are you warning us?" she finally asked. "If you have such capabilities, why not simply destroy us?" "Because that's another thing about humans," Chen replied. "We prefer to avoid unnecessary conflict. We'd much rather establish diplomatic relations, engage in cultural exchange, maybe set up some joint research projects. We have so many questions about your crystalline computing systems. They're really quite elegant." The message was clear. Humanity wasn't just capable of defending itself. It was offering a choice between warfare and cooperation. And for the first time in her long military career, Fleet Commander Vexera found herself considering retreat not as a failure, but as the most logical course of action. "I will need to consult with the High Command," she said carefully. "Of course," Chen nodded. "We'll maintain our current defensive posture while you do so. Oh, and Commander, when you report back, you might want to mention that we've already begun analyzing the quantum signature of your FTL communication system, just in case anyone gets any ideas about a surprise attack." As the hologram faded, Vexera turned to her second-in-command. "Plot a course out of the system," she ordered, "and prepare a priority message to High Command. Subject: urgent warning. Earth classification requires immediate review." As her fleet began its withdrawal, Vexera couldn't help but wonder what other surprises these humans had in store. One thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same after this day. Grand Arbiter Krellnax of the Galactic Council sat in his private chambers, his tentacles writhing in agitation as he reviewed Fleet Commander Vexera's report for the 5th time. The holographic display cast a pale blue light across his iridescent skin as images of Earth's defense systems played on repeat. "Impossible," he muttered, a common phrase in the council chambers lately. "Senior Analyst Televon, explain this to me again." The aging analyst, her scales dulled with time, stepped forward. "The humans, Arbiter, appear to have done something unprecedented. They didn't just reverse engineer the technology they found. They reimagined it entirely." "But how?" Krellnax demanded. "Their industrial base is primitive. Their energy systems are barely beyond fossil fuels. Their space presence is minimal." Telvin activated a new hologram, showing the interior of what appeared to be an underground facility. That's what they wanted everyone to think. This footage was captured by our last deep cover probe before it was detected. Look at the scale of their operation. The facility was massive, extending for kilometers beneath the Earth's surface. But it wasn't the size that caught Krellnax's attention. It was the organization. Different sections housed laboratories dedicated to various alien technologies, but they weren't working in isolation. Teams of humans moved freely between sections, cross-pollinating ideas. "They're not following normal technological progression," Telvon explained. "When they discovered Zarkathi crystalline computing, they didn't just study it. They combined it with their own quantum computing theories. When they found Maraxian plasma weapons, they didn't copy them. They'd redesigned them using principles from their own particle physics. And this." Krellnax pointed to a section where humans appeared to be combining technologies from 3 different species. "That's their innovation hub," Telvin said, her voice carrying a note of reluctant admiration. "They take technologies that we've spent millennia perfecting and ask questions we never thought to ask. What if we reversed the polarity? What if we combined it with something else? What if we applied it differently?" A new figure entered the chamber. Security Director Malvik, his combat exoskeleton humming softly. "Arbiter, there's more. We've detected unusual energy signatures from their moon." The hologram shifted, showing the lunar surface. What had appeared to be natural craters began transforming, revealing massive hidden facilities. "They're not just developing technology," Malvik reported. "They're mass-producing it. But here's the concerning part. Every piece of equipment is slightly different. They're not creating standardized weapons. They're experimenting with variations, constantly iterating. How many facilities like this do they have? Krelnax asked. Unknown, Telvon admitted. They've somehow developed a way to mask energy signatures we didn't even know could be masked. Every time we think we found all their facilities, we discover more. They're in their mountains, under their oceans, hidden in plain sight as civilian installations. Malvik's exoskeleton shifted uncomfortably. There's something else. Arbiter. We've detected transmissions suggesting they're not just studying our current technology. They're analyzing our historical records, looking at abandoned research paths our species deemed impractical centuries ago. Why would they? Krelnax began, then stopped as understanding dawned. They're not bound by our preconceptions. Exactly, Telvon nodded. Projects we abandoned as dead ends. They're approaching them with fresh eyes and different perspectives. The quantum resonance project that the Tsar Cathy abandoned 3 centuries ago. Humans found a way to make it work by combining it with something they call string theory. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just catching up to galactic technology. They were forging their own path, creating hybrid technologies that no other species had conceived. There's one more thing, Malvik added, his voice grave. We've intercepted communications suggesting they're not just developing defensive technologies. They're preparing for every possible scenario. They have plans within plans, contingencies for situations we haven't even considered. Krelnax felt a chill run through his tentacles. They're preparing for war while hoping for peace. No, Arbiter, Telvon corrected. They're preparing for everything. War, peace, trade, cultural exchange. They're developing technologies and protocols for every possible interaction with alien species, and they're doing it all simultaneously, at a pace that defies conventional understanding. How do we deal with a species like this? Malvik asked. Krelnax stared at the holographic displays, watching humans work with an enthusiasm and creativity that both terrified and fascinated him. We don't deal with them, he finally said. We need to decide whether to embrace them as allies or risk becoming obsolete ourselves. As if to emphasize his point, a new alert appeared. Humans had just tested a device that could generate stable micro-wormholes, something the Council had deemed theoretically impossible. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was holding the brush that painted its new future. Ambassador Elena Santos walked through the crystalline corridors of the Galactic Council's diplomatic wing, her footsteps echoing off walls that shifted colors with each passing moment. Her formal diplomatic uniform, a blend of traditional Earth styling and advanced smart fabrics that adjusted to alien environmental conditions, drew curious glances from the various species she passed. The past 3 months had transformed galactic politics. After the Tsar Cathy incident, Earth could no longer maintain its facade of technological simplicity. Now, humanity was playing a far more complex game. Ambassador Santos, a melodious voice called out, a Maraxian diplomat, her bioluminescent patterns shifting in formal greeting patterns, approached. A moment of your time. Of course, Representative Zyra. Elena smiled, noting the subtle changes in the Maraxian's light patterns that indicated anxiety. How can Earth's delegation assist you? It's about the proposed technology exchange program. Zyra's lights flickered in what Elena recognized as diplomatic hesitation. My government is concerned about the pace of development you're proposing. Elena maintained her diplomatic smile, but her mind raced through the implications. The Maraxians, like many species, were struggling to adapt to humanity's approach to technological advancement. Perhaps we could discuss this in my office, Elena suggested, gesturing toward a nearby door. The office materialized as they approached, a new human technology that created temporary spaces within the Council's adaptive architecture. Inside, Elena activated the privacy fields, another human innovation that had startled the galactic community. Most species used simple sound dampening. Earth's version created a pocket of space-time that temporarily existed outside normal causality. Your concerns are understandable, Elena began, taking a seat behind her desk. But consider this perspective. Earth isn't proposing to simply share technology. We're suggesting a collaborative approach to innovation itself. She activated a holographic display, showing various technological projects across Earth. Look at how we work, she continued. Each research team includes members from different scientific backgrounds, different cultures, different ways of thinking. We don't just solve problems, we redefine them. That's precisely what concerns us. Zyra's patterns shifted to show deeper worry. Your species moves too quickly, takes too many risks. The standard progression of technological development. With respect, Elena interrupted gently. That standard progression is exactly what we need to move beyond. The galaxy faces challenges that conventional approaches haven't solved. The void storms in the Carina sector, the crystal plague affecting the Zarkathi colonies, the growing instability of the ancient Jumpgate network, these problems require new thinking. She pressed a button, and the hologram changed to show Earth's latest project. A massive research facility orbiting Jupiter, designed to accommodate scientists from every spacefaring species. This is the Future Forge, Elena explained, a place where different species can work together, combining their knowledge in new ways, where we can take risks, try unconventional approaches, fail safely, and learn from those failures. And Earth would control this facility. Zyra's patterns showed skepticism. No, Elena smiled. Earth would host it, but control, that would be shared among all participating species. We're not interested in dominating the Galactic Representative. We want to help revolutionize how the galaxy approaches innovation itself. A subtle chime indicated another visitor. The door dissolved to reveal Grand Arbiter Krellnax himself, his tentacles arranged in a formal configuration. Fascinating proposal, Ambassador Santos, he said, entering the office. But some council members worry that this future forge could become a security risk. Combining technologies in unexpected ways has uncertain consequences. Elena stood, offering the traditional tentacle bow to the Arbiter. Everything worthwhile carries risk, Arbiter. But consider the greater risk. A galaxy that stagnates because we're too afraid to imagine new possibilities. She activated another hologram, this one showing the successful test of a human Zarkathi hybrid drive system. 3 days ago, this prototype achieved faster than light travel using 40% less energy than conventional drives. It combines Zarkathi crystal matrices with human quantum tunneling theories. Neither species could have developed it alone. And you achieved this in how long? Krellnax asked, though he already knew the answer. 6 weeks, Elena replied. Because we didn't follow the standard development protocols. We tried things that by conventional wisdom shouldn't have worked. That's what humanity brings to the galaxy. Not just our technology, but our willingness to imagine impossible things and then find ways to make them possible. Zyra's patterns had shifted from worry to intrigue. And you would share all of this, your methods, your innovations. Share and improve upon them together, Elena nodded. Earth's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to adapt, to combine ideas in new ways, to learn from everyone and everything around us. Imagine that approach amplified by the knowledge and creativity of every species in the galaxy. Krellnax's tentacles writhed in thought. You're not just proposing technological exchange, he realized. You're proposing to change how the entire galaxy thinks about progress itself. Exactly, Elena smiled. The question isn't whether humanity will join the galactic community. The question is whether the galactic community is ready to embrace a future where impossible things become possible every day. As if to punctuate her point, a notification appeared on her desk. Another breakthrough at the lunar facilities. Humans working with Meraxian scientists had just developed a way to stabilize quantum entanglement across interstellar distances. 6 months ago, every species had agreed it couldn't be done. The future was changing faster than anyone had imagined, and humanity was helping to guide that change, not through force or dominance, but through imagination, collaboration, and the relentless pursuit of possibilities. Admiral James Chen stood on the bridge of the EDS Prometheus, watching the tactical display with calm intensity. The massive hologram showed 300 Drachnid warships emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Led by the notorious warlord Kithar, they had come to prove that humanity's reputation was nothing but clever deception. "Status of the defense grid?" Chen asked, his voice steady. "All systems nominal," Admiral Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. "The Drachnids are broadcasting their intentions on all frequencies. They're calling us out, sir." Indeed, Warlord Kithar's massive form appeared on the main screen, his scaled face twisted in what passed for a smile among his species. "So these are the humans who have frightened the galaxy into submission. Your tricks may have impressed the weak-minded council, but the Drachnid Empire is not so easily fooled." Chen studied the alien warlord with professional interest. The Drachnids were known for their straightforward military doctrine, overwhelming force applied without subtlety. They had never encountered a species that thought quite like humans. "Warlord Cathar," Chen responded formally, "you are in violation of both Council law and Earth's sovereign space. We request that you withdraw immediately." "Request denied," Cathar sneered. "We've studied your capabilities. Your defensive platforms are impressive, but they can't possibly cover every approach. Your ships are few in number, and our new shields are specifically designed to resist your quantum phase weapons." Chen allowed himself a small smile. "You're absolutely right about our defensive platforms, Warlord. That's why we're not using them." Thar's expression shifted to confusion as his tactical officers reported something strange. The platforms that had so worried the Zarkathi were powering down, their weapon signatures fading. "What game is this?" Cathar demanded. "No game," Chen replied. "Just a question. Did you ever wonder why Earth maintained such a small fleet despite our technological capabilities?" Before Cathar could respond, new signatures appeared on his sensors. Not ships, exactly, but something else. Thousands of small objects, each about the size of a shuttle, were emerging from concealed positions throughout the solar system. "We call them swarm units," Chen explained as the objects moved to surround the Drachnid fleet. "Autonomous drones that combine your species' excellent power generation systems with Meraxian miniaturization technology and some human innovations in artificial intelligence. Individually, they're not very impressive." One of the drones approached a Drachnid cruiser. Cathar laughed as his ship's weapons easily destroyed it. But then something unexpected happened. The destroyed drone's remains didn't drift away. They began to change, the materials reorganizing themselves at a molecular level. "Impressive adaptive shielding," Chen nodded. "But you forgot something important about Earth's history. We've spent centuries telling stories about worst-case scenarios. Alien invasions, robot uprisings, gray goose scenarios. We've imagined it all. And then we figured out how to make it work for us." The transformed drone materials were spreading across the cruiser's hull, bypassing its shields completely. More drones were destroyed, creating more of the transformative material. Ship after ship in the Drachnid fleet began reporting systems failures as the substance interfaced with their technology. "What is this?" Cathar's voice held real fear now. "Programmable matter," Chen explained, "combined with a distributed AI network that learns and adapts in real time. The more ships you destroy, the more it learns about your technology. The more it learns, the better it gets at countering it." "This is impossible," Cathar roared. "No species has successfully developed programmable matter at this scale." "No single species has," Chen corrected. "But we combined Zarkathi crystal computing, Meraxian energy manipulation, and some interesting ideas from Earth's science fiction authors. Amazing what you can accomplish when you don't limit yourself to conventional thinking." The Drachnid fleet was quickly becoming immobilized, their mighty warships transformed into drifting hulks. Not destroyed. Humanity had learned that showing restraint could be more impressive than showing power. Now, Chen's voice hardened slightly about that withdrawal request. You planned this, Cathar realized. The defensive platforms, the small fleet, it was all to encourage someone to attack. We needed to demonstrate something to the galaxy, Chen acknowledged. Not our military power. The Zarkathi already showed everyone that. No, we needed to demonstrate why attacking Earth is fundamentally misconceived. You're not just fighting our weapons, Warlord. You're fighting human creativity itself. Every attack teaches us something new. Every victory against us makes us stronger. He gestured, and the swarm units began reversing their effects, restoring power to the Drachnid ships. Your fleet will be fully operational in 1 hour. I suggest you use that power to return home. And please, share what you've learned today. As the Drachnid fleet retreated, Chen received a priority message from Earth Command. The data collected from this encounter had already led to 3 new technological breakthroughs. Humanity's understanding of adaptive systems had taken another leap forward. Sometimes, Chen mused to his bridge crew. The best way to prevent a war is to show why starting one would be an act of pure insanity. The observation deck of the future forge spanned an entire kilometer, offering a breathtaking view of Jupiter's swirling storms. Dr. Maya Patel stood beside Grand Arbiter Krelnax, watching scientists from 24 species working together in the massive research facility. 1 year had passed since the Drachnid incident, and the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Remarkable, Krelnax observed, his tentacles moving in patterns of deep contemplation. When your ambassador first proposed this facility, many thought it would never work. Different species thinking too differently, moving at incompatible speeds. Maya smiled, watching a team of human and Zarkathi researchers demonstrating their latest project, a form of crystalline computing that operated on principles that defied conventional physics. That's exactly why it does work, she said. The differences aren't obstacles, they're catalysts. A holographic alert appeared, showing the successful test of a new FTL communication system. It had been developed by a mixed team of humans, Meraxians, and Drachnids, including, ironically, several scientists from Warlord Cathar's former fleet who had requested asylum to continue their research on Earth. 6 impossible things before breakfast, Maya quoted, noting Krelnax's confused tentacle pattern. It's from an old Earth story. A character talks about believing impossible things. Humans have always been good at that, imagining the impossible until it becomes possible. Like this. Krelnax gestured to a nearby laboratory where researchers were manipulating what appeared to be a small fragment of spacetime itself. The project combined human theoretical physics with ancient council technology that had been abandoned as too unstable centuries ago. Exactly, Maya nodded. We looked at that old research and asked different questions. Instead of why doesn't this work, we asked, what if we tried it this way? When you combine that approach with thousands of years of accumulated knowledge from other species, she trailed off as a new alert appeared. Another breakthrough, this time from the medical division. A team had just successfully tested a treatment for the crystal plague that had been ravaging Zarkathi colonies. They had solved in months a problem that had resisted conventional approaches for decades. That's what truly frightened us at first, Krelnax admitted. Not your weapons or your defenses, but the speed at which you adapt and innovate. It seemed unnatural. Because you were looking at it wrong, a new voice joined them. Ambassador Elena Santos' approach, accompanied by representatives from several species. Humanity doesn't progress in a straight line. We try multiple paths simultaneously, fail fast, learn from those failures, and try again. When you combine that with the deep knowledge of older species, she gestured to a massive holographic display showing active projects throughout the facility. Hundreds of teams working on everything from environmental restoration to deep space exploration. Each team mixed species, methodologies, and perspectives in unique ways. The old barriers are falling, Elena continued. Not just technological barriers, cultural ones too. Look there. She pointed to a recreation area where offspring from various species played together, learning each other's games and inventing new ones. Young drachnids teaching human children their traditional war dances, while Maraxian youngsters shared their light pattern stories. This is what Earth brings to the galaxy, Maya said softly. Not just our technology or our methods, but our ability to imagine new possibilities. To look at different ways of thinking not as threats, but as opportunities. A sudden burst of excited chatter drew their attention. A joint human-alien team had just successfully tested their first prototype of a true matter replicator, something every species had long considered impossible. The researchers were hugging, their different anatomies making the gestures awkward, but no less sincere. And that, Elena smiled, that right there is the real breakthrough. Not the technology itself, but the joy of discovery shared across species, the understanding that we're all part of something bigger than ourselves. Krelnax's tentacles moved in a pattern that translated roughly to philosophical amusement. When Commander Vexera first warned us about Earth, we thought we were facing a potential threat to galactic stability. Instead, you've become the catalyst for the greatest period of progress in Council history. Because we chose to share rather than dominate. Maya nodded. To inspire rather than intimidate. To invite everyone to imagine impossible things with us. As if to emphasize her point, the facility's AI announced another breakthrough. This time in dimensional physics. A team had managed to create a stable micro-universe, a development that would revolutionize energy production across the galaxy. The researchers responsible included members of species that had been bitter enemies just a year ago. Humanity's greatest weapon, Elena concluded, watching the celebrations, was never our technology. It was our ability to dream, to imagine, to believe in impossible things, and to help others believe too. Outside the window, Jupiter's storms continued their eternal dance, but they seemed different now. Not barriers to be overcome, but puzzles to be solved. Not threats, but opportunities. The galaxy was entering a new age, and humanity had helped light the way, not through force or fear, but through the simple, powerful act of imagining a better future and inviting everyone to help build it.